All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Okay, all I can tell you is he pleaded not guilty. I'm shocked, I tell you. I'm shocked.
Over the past quarter century, 4 Wisconsin presidential elections have been decided by less than a percentage point. As we saw in 2020, close elections in swing states, sometimes they wind up in front of state Supreme Courts. And Wisconsin's court narrowly voted against former President Trump's election fraud claims in 2020, solidifying President Biden's victory there. But a new conservative court might not rule the same way in 2024 if presented with a similar case. Kelly Beeson joins us now from the Wisconsin State Capitol in Madison. Good morning, Kelly.
Hey, good morning, Mitch. And you know what's pretty incredible about this race? The spending has now topped $42 million.
Oh, my
and that
God.
is remarkable when you think about the last record being set in Illinois back in 2004 at $15 million. But as you mentioned, there is a lot at stake here in Wisconsin. Voters are now choosing between two people. First, the Democratic-backed Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Janet Protasewicz and Republican-backed former Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Dan Kelly. Now, as you know, Mitch, it is not often a state Supreme Court race is hurled into the national spotlight. But in Wisconsin today, we're talking about a key political battleground state with a lot on the line. Abortion access, voting rights, and redistricting, just a few of those topics that are topping the list.
Most judicial races might have ads that are highlighting someone's record, their qualifications, their judicial philosophy. This one is deep personal attacks,
Good God.
Strong claims about issues and where the candidates stand on some issues, which you normally don't see in a state Supreme Court race.
Now, according to recent reports, Protasewicz has a roughly $6 million advantage, and the winner of the race will set majority control ahead of the 2024 presidential election. The current court coming one vote short of overturning President Biden's win in Wisconsin in 2020. Now, the winner of this race will set to serve a 10-year term beginning in August, and the polls here are set to close at 8 p.m. Central Time.
I mean, do you understand what she just said? She's telling you, she's beautiful. She's telling you, isn't she pretty? Yeah. Never saw her before. She's gorgeous.
Stop trying to get me in trouble, please. Thank you.
I just, I'm not even supposed to comment on people, on women, how beautiful women are. We're gorgeous. We're stunning. We're attractive. So whatever, not supposed to say. But anyway, she's telling you that that in Wisconsin, they were one vote on the Supreme Court, one vote shy of overturning the results of your election on the Supreme Court, in the state Supreme Court. One vote shy, and you're having an election today for a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. I cannot tell you how important it is that Wisconsin remain a swing state. I can't tell you how important it is to keep that seat in the hands of somebody who isn't a name-calling bully, who isn't a good old boy right-wing fascist lunatic. And that's where we are. Redistricting is going to come up again in Wisconsin, and you could end this unbelievably severe gerrymander that is present in your life right now, in your county in Wisconsin. And it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter if you live in Oconomowoc or you live in Milwaukee or you live, up in the hinterlands. You are gerrymandered out of expressing your desire to be this or that, or to say, yes, I want my rights, or no, I don't want my rights. You are gerrymandered out of your power. Literally, it is the most gerrymandered state and so redistricting is going to come up again in the term of this next Supreme Court. And frankly, you could end the craziness of allowing the broad daylight thievery of your power to speak, because the way voters speak is when they vote. The other thing is whether or not you get to vote ever again. That's on the table. And, the right to seek medical care if you don't want to be pregnant, or if your fetus is not viable and you don't want to have to wait until you're completely bleeding out on the hospital floor before a doctor isn't afraid that he's going to be hauled off to the hoosgow for tending to you. Seriously. And I have to tell you that might not even be enough to restore democracy to Wisconsin. The special election today is also to fill a Wisconsin Senate seat. And that Senate seat is going to decide whether or not Republicans in that state get a supermajority, meaning they don't even have to listen to Democrats anymore. They don't have to compromise. They don't even have to talk to them, okay? The supermajority would actually give them this power, and this is crazy. So let's say you choose, it's hard to say her name, but I think it's Protasiewicz, okay? Janet Protasiewicz. Let's say you choose the sane person, Janet Protasiewicz, over Kelly, who is a lunatic. He's a fringy maggot, okay? And she is sworn in as the next justice on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court. But you said, I'm going to split my vote. And you voted for a Republican, ideologue named Dan, believe it or not, his name is Dan Knuddle. Dan Knuddle. And Dan Knuddle could make a supermajority in the state Senate in Wisconsin. Guess what that gives them the power to do? Guess what it gives them the power to do? Impeach the newly elected Supreme Court justice. Swear to God. If the Republicans get a supermajority in the state Senate in Wisconsin, that would allow them to impeach the new state justice that you just elected. This is how they operate. This is what they want to do. And not incidentally, Dan Knuddle is one of the 15 Wisconsin Republican lawmakers who in January of 2021 sent a letter to Vice President Mike Pence and told him, don't certify the election. Don't do it. I can fix things here in Wisconsin. It's just we're one vote short on the Supreme Court. But maybe we could get it done. Maybe we could put a separate, fake slate of electors up in front of Mike Pence. So don't. I mean, this is real. This is happening. And this is how fascists take over. Everybody wonders, why do we have a government that doesn't represent the majority of American people? Why do we have a government when we have 98% of Americans? And that's a real thing. We have 98% of Americans saying that they want background checks on guns, okay? 98%. We have over 70% of Americans saying that women have the right to choose, okay? Women have the right to make that medical decision between her and her doctor without having the government inside of her body making medical decisions for her. So if that's the case on these two, gigantic issues, why don't we see that the states are following our desires, our polling, right? It's because they're so gerrymandered into power that the minority wins the day in the state legislatures. And Wisconsin is the most gerrymandered state I swear to God, I can't even tell you that this is the way it happens, okay? It happens step by step. This is how authoritarian minorities steal governments from democratic majorities. This is exactly how it happens. Wisconsin is just today's example of how they do it. And they do it step by step. They design the voting districts, they gerrymander districts to freeze out the majority of voters. Then they gain the legislative supermajorities that allow them to control the state executive and the state courts. And then they capture the electoral college majorities despite the popular vote. And that, my friends, is how it happens. That's how they steal the majority's power. And it's happening. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.